Hey guys, welcome back to the sixth installment of our discussion of Simone de Beauvoir's The Ethics of Ambiguity. I'm Luke Johnson.
And I'm Jordan Clem.
Right on, right on. You can download this episode, download the Noetic app from the Apple Store and the Google Play, and you can listen to this episode in the Simone de Beauvoir course that we've created for you underneath seminars. So, last time we were talking about how intellectuals are problematic for Simone de Beauvoir. You would think that Simone de Beauvoir, being an intellectual herself, would view this as a viable way to transcend the ambiguous condition, right? But she's got problems with intellectuals, specifically the ones of the historical contextualizing type and philosophical intellectuals. What's the problem that she has with them, Jordan?
Main problem is she, and accurately to a degree, accuses a lot of intellects retreating into the ivory tower. And especially with what we've seen with the Holocaust, that a lot of intellectuals at the time decided to completely disengage with society, which is just exceptionally dangerous.
And just to connect the dots, why is this so problematic? Like, we need these people with great intellects and the possibility to disclose the freedom and liberate others, because there's all these political totalitarian movements going on at the time that she's writing this, right? Or what she's been able to witness and rebuilding in the aftermath and everything. And, there's also going to be this idea that intellectuals are not so great, right? Like, intellectuals are really not so much different from the submen. I see it specifically in, public intellectuals. I can't remember if I said this last podcast or in an earlier take about how, you see, as much good as so many public intellectuals do, all right? And maybe we're doing it and I'm not even conscious of it, okay? But something I see, and part of the reason that motivated me to do this noetic thing, is that I see a lot of I look at it a physicist, an astrophysicist like Neil deGrasse Tyson, brilliant dude, and then he'll trespass into something that's not in his area of expertise, like philosophy, or Bill Nye will decry the merits of philosophy, or Sam Harris will go and talk about how if you truly are a smart person, you can't believe in religion or something to that effect, and the authors share these reflexive knee-jerk academic values, right, that they retreat into. I guess what I'm trying to say here is Simone de Beauvoir recognizes that they're not really properly understanding the complicated nature of existence. They wouldn't be, or Richard Dawkins, they wouldn't assert their values with such certainty if they had really confronted the ambiguous condition. And this intellectual transcendence that they're trying to do, not only is it harmful from a political perspective, but they're lying to themselves. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that when you ascribe to a camp and you hold a position so firmly, there's an excellent chance you are oversimplifying it or buying into a narrative that's been already fashioned for you.
Do you think we have a narrative? Do you think we do that? Do you think I'm sitting here accusing other public intellectuals of possibly not being aware of the ambiguous condition? If we could engage in a little bit of a self-critique,
Yeah,
do we do it?
I don't know. I kind of was thinking about what Cliff said about how everything is a story, isn't it? So, do you create your own narrative and then you incorporate other narratives that people might already have, fashioned for you?
Do you think we're living in a little bit of a dream world? Do you think we're lying to ourselves about how things are and how they ought to be? I don't know. I feel like we face the complexity head on. And it's not like you and I agree on everything.
No, absolutely not.
But it never really comes out either.
Yeah.
We haven't fought each other yet. It's strange.
Yet.
Yeah.
They're still.
Episode 80, Jordan smacks Luke across the face.
Just don't bring up the draft. And we'll be fine.
I don't even know how I feel about the draft.
Okay.
But anyhow, back to the Simone.
So we're good.
So, all right. So we're not going to be intellectuals. We're going to go... Oh, yeah, I do know what you mean now about the draft comment.
Yeah. Just keep moving.
Just
keep going.
Moving.
Keep going.
So Simone's going to bring up the artists, right? You would think Simone's French. Them Frenchies, they love the arts, right? They're not like us Americans. They love mimes. They love...
So cultured.
Yeah, they're very cultured people. They love the arts. what's she going to say about art as a plausible alternative to the ambiguous condition?
So, one of her big critiques is that a lot of times these artists can think that they are sort of the end themselves, and they assume this godlike position.
How do they get that godlike status? Why do they think they're gods?
I think it's just like that element of creation.
What do they think they're creating?
Ooh,
You said it. You said it earlier. This like
they're
immobilized, frozen moment
right.
of creation.
They're basically trying to freeze time and sort of imbue that like. I'm not doing.
Artists think of themselves as some kind of wizards, right? Like casting spells, or like they're like God in his eternality, being like, "Let me create a world." And like every sort of artwork, whether it be like a song or a painting or something like that, like this is creation. I mean, we see this a lot too. Like people who try to like come up with like theodicies will compare the universe to like God's like most masterful painting. And if we see pain and suffering and like in our world, it's only because we don't properly understand the full painting. If we could have God's perspective and appreciate the tremendous artwork that he's bestowed upon us, we'd be like, you good God, you good artist.
And here's a quotation, I think, which captures the crux of Simone's issue with artists. It is existence which they, meaning the artists, are trying to pin down and make eternal. So they're trying to distill the entirety of existence in one piece of art.
Yeah. By the way, in the Barth seminar that I did with CJ, that's a big part of what Barth thinks photographers are trying to do. So if you're interested in this concept of what artists do and how it connects to Simone de Beauvoir, check out that class as well. That's on the Noetic app. But yeah, so this is going to be problematic, right? Like. Again, why is this problematic? Because I guess it contributes to a certain sense of solipsism and self-absorption and feeling like a god and sort of creating this sort of universe of values.
Yeah, actually, I have another quotation that I just
please do.
So he, meaning the artist, this is the problem, another problem according to Simone. He justifies the world and therefore thinks he has no need of anyone to justify himself.
Right. So like there's like this sequestering off from the rest of the community. He doesn't have to justify himself in regards to any
he becomes
sort of
the creator. He becomes the creator of his own universe, so he thinks that he doesn't have to answer to anyone else.
Right. And this is problematic, again, going back to what we know about the ethics of ambiguity, that it's going to be either indirectly or directly striving for the collective freedom of all.
Right.
Right? So I have... Well, look, I'm going to consider that critique here as we get to the end of page 78 or whatever. Because let's bracket this right now. Even if intellectuals, artists, passionate people require a certain sort of isolation and narcissism or whatever, is it the case that they don't open up people to disclosures of their being? And let's table that for a second. Because the thing is, Simone has like really delimited the options for what we can be. She says we cannot be religious. There's no ideology we can subscribe to. No nihilism. No different species of nihilism. The nihilism gone on adventure. The innocuous nihilism. The dangerous nihilism that can be co-opted by totalitarianism. No passion. We covered that last podcast. No getting lost in objective thought. And no dedication to art. Wow. Simone de Beauvoir seems like a really fun person. Like we have so many options left to us here. So there's so many no's, and yet we don't know a ton about what an ethics of ambiguity looks like. We kind of have like some three sort of postulates, right? And it does look like we're going to be directly aiming for the freedom of others, but how exactly willing others' freedom and our own freedom are interconnected, it seems sort of mysterious and in a way kind of limiting, right? Like if I'm willing your freedom and that puts a break on the conditional values that I can make, like I have to ask myself, why ought I to do that? I think last podcast we kind of talked about this, how there's like kind of this feedback loop of disclosure and freedom as a result of respecting other people's freedom, right? So like I built this Noetic thing. like, and it opened up a lot of possibilities for me, and it brought you into that universe, and I think it opened up a lot of possibilities for you, and you make such incredible contributions that it just keeps going back and forth where we keep making each other better, right?
Right.
And hopefully I think we said something in like last podcast where we hope other people catch it.
Yeah.
Like and so that then there's sort of like this rippling effect. So like Jordan and Luke sort of push that snowball, and then like maybe someone creates maybe someone does what we've done for philosophy for art history, or maybe someone does what we've done for philosophy for poetry, or maybe it affects it in some other way, right? I guess that's what I'm saying is that there's this cascading sort of effect.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not like it started with Luke. I'm like Simone de Beauvoir is the one who got me thinking this way. So, I think the question becomes though, like, and that's all the notes I have prepared for this podcast. Do you want to say more before we go into a little bit of discussion of the main discussion question that I have?
No, I think.
All right. So the main thing, all right. So passionate man, intellectual man, artistic man, they may not have an intention of setting other people off on this existentialist conversion, right? But it kind of happens anyway, right? Like when Radiohead goes and makes Paranoid Android and changes the way I think about music, and like it makes me want to make a bunch of other music projects that have that same sort of rippling effect. Like,
well, she doesn't make a point that passion can be sort of a touchstone, so to speak.
Yeah, artists and passionate people make beautiful things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the thing is like I worry about her decrying these things like passion and art if it really does serve the existentialist perspective so well. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm trying to understand the compatibility.
Yeah.
How she can maybe she's saying that they need to be reclaimed in an existential, like, because it's not like I still don't do art now, or it's not like I didn't do. I am doing, I guess, philosophy in a new way. I'm not striving towards a degree anymore, like for the benefit of me. Like we're doing this because it's internally justifying.
Right.
Is that kind of the way? Like, is that maybe these other perspectives ought not to be eschewed altogether? They just are done differently, or maybe we have a different mode of approach. Is that how you understand her?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but that particular Augustine quotation that bread can poison and fire can heal really resonates with me, because it's not necessarily what you use or what you do or what you enjoy. It's how you do it. So I really do think that there is something significant about the approach of it. Because I think that, I mean, especially with like art, art can help you contemplate things in ways and sort of uses different conduits that, I wouldn't get out of reading or listening. So, I mean, for me, I really love art. Like, I really enjoy it. So for me, it has a much more emotive power, I think, that would make me think more about existentialist conversion and stuff like that.
Totally. I think that's that's got to be kind of the answer to it. Well, I've covered everything that I want to cover in this installment. Is there anything else you wanted to do to close out?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay, guys, download the Noetic app, and we'll try to have it up there for you as soon as possible. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.